Do you have a favorite camp that you've been to? Individual?
Hmm. Yeah, I'd probably say 3, 4 years ago, uh, we had one, and God made it very clear during, the bonfire night that it was gonna be extremely special.
Mm,
Um, but he clearly told me that I needed to have our prayer team be very on guard,
mhm,
because there was a lot of warfare taking place, and, there was a young man, and I could tell that I could tell suicide, like, earlier in that camp as I was walking camp, I knew there was a spirit of that, and I could feel it at a super high level,
mhm,
and, I was listening to the young man speak, and I clearly God prompted my heart to say, "Have you thought about committing suicide?" Right? And he's like, "Yeah, like, honestly, before coming to camp, I was in a position where I was gonna take my life." And, I got an invite, and I went ahead and came. And so we got to pray over him in that very moment.
mm,
We got to pray that presence off of him. And then again, the next guy that came up, similar. The next guy that came up, similar.
mm.
There was like 21 different guys that had contemplated suicide prior to coming to camp.
Golly.
From an age of 18 all the way up to a guy that was like in his upper 60s. That was like literally, I walked down to a lake that's similar to like this, and I had a gun in my hand and I thought about taking my life. But there was something that prevented me from doing that. But then coming to camp and being able to have something like that prayed for, because look, when you talk about that, like that's the dark of the dark,
Yeah.
right? And and just the first man went and expressed that, and then when that happened, it was like this awakening inside of men to
Mm,
say, I'm no longer going to keep this in the dark, right?
yeah.
I'm going to get this out, and I'm going to get it out, and I don't feel shame or condemnation. Like I feel surrender,
Mm,
I feel peace, and I feel whole,
mm,
right? And it was pretty cool to see because God showed me that it was going to take place prior to camp as I was walking around, and specifically brought me to this one area to pray over this one place. Um, and it was almost as if in that moment in time, like he took me to what is going to happen and to be prepared and ready for it. And so during that base camp and during that timeline, like those were my prayers, right?
yeah.
God, continue to work in these men that need to be worked to bring forth whatever it is that they're hiding, in order for you to provide healing in those moments, right? Because a base camp, we're not, I think people get confused, right? Broken people break people, but healed people don't heal people,
Mhm,
right? Healed people introduce people to the healer,
mhm.
right? Which is Jesus.
Yeah.
And so we get it wrong so much. Like, hey, let me take you to this person because they've been healed from whatever it is that you're struggling with. And if you can talk to them, maybe you will receive healing. That's not how it
Yeah.
works, right? So really being introduced to the healer and knowing that, man, I can say these things and ultimately it's okay, right? And then knowing how to walk and shepherd those guys once it's said, and
Yeah.
how we can supply them with the tools and resources in order to make certain that
Yeah.
as those thoughts come, they have weapons to defend themselves against them.